What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. Got a brand new suggestion box review for y'all. Because I recently watched a movie called Seven, starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Spacey. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to one of my subscribers, Cheryl Burton. I'm sure y'all are familiar with the name by now. I always appreciate the suggestions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, of course. Now, the 90s. Oh, the 90s. A time when the soundtrack to a movie meant a whole lot more than it does now. Alright. Also, a time when psychotic thrillers and murder mysteries pretty much were all the buzz in the 90s. Matter of fact, psychotic thrillers and murder mysteries pretty much ran the movie game in the 90s. Alright. Movies like Fatal Attraction, Cape Fear, Basic Instinct, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I bet y'all don't remember that. I bet y'all don't remember that. Obvious classics like Silence of the Lambs. And I promise this is the last time I mention that movie. I know, but it is an obvious classic. You know, it's a top tier. It's actually top tier when it comes to murder mysteries and psychotic thrillers. Alright. Now, out of all those movies that I have seen, I never got a chance to see Seven. Yes, one of the most talked about endings as far as psychotic thrillers go. I just never got a chance to see it. And now I've had that chance. So the question remains, is this up to par with the rest of those movies I just mentioned? Have I been missing out on something all these years? Or have I not been missing out on anything at all? Is it worth my time? We're going to see that right now. All right. Let's get to that review. Seven, for those who are not aware, or maybe aware, but you just never got a chance to see it, like me. Seven is about two totally different detectives. One is retiring, and then one detective just got transferred. All right. So these two detectives are teamed up together to solve a very odd case. Very different case, because this case involves the 7 deadly sins. The killer has a theme for this. Pretty much every person he kills has committed one of these sins. Therefore, you're going to get 7 murders. It's already expected. All right. While all that is taking place, Detective Mills, I think he's just freshly married, also moving to a new city with his wife. So they're going through their things, right, at the same time. And then eventually, the killer himself decides to get a little more involved with the case, which you'll see if you take time to watch the movie. Now, positives. My first positive has to deal with what I just mentioned earlier. You know, about soundtracks actually meaning something in the 90s. That's my point here. This movie starts off with the song Closer from 9 Inch Nails. And then it ends with David Bowie. All right, I'm not sure what song he's singing, but it's a David Bowie song, and as far as I'm concerned, those two artists mesh well. They've meshed. They've even had a song together, which I like, as also that just furthermore proves that this was the perfect setup. It was like bookends to the movie. One to start, one to end it. And they did their job. They did their job. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to soundtracks for a movie. Take notes. Take notes. Please take notes. The second thing that I liked about this, the theme. The 7 Deadly Sin theme. I purely enjoy when the murderer in the murder mystery that I'm watching has like a pattern that they go by. You know what I'm saying? Not too predictable, but enough to you kind of know what direction they're going in, but at the same time you don't know how they're gonna play this all out, right? I just always enjoyed that. You know, it's very interesting because in this case, you have pride, you have glutton, greed, wrath, envy, sloth. And if I've missed out anything, it's going to be at the bottom of the screen. So that's always a very interesting direction to play on. Okay? They even got an anime after this same exact thing. I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's pretty good. But, a lot of people take to this because this is like an old school type setup. This is an old school thing. The 7 Deadly Sins, this is biblical days. This is biblical days right here. Okay? So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. All right? Third positive. The chemistry between the two detectives. The chemistry. You have two totally different detectives, like I said earlier. One is very stuck in his ways. He's on his way out, so he doesn't really care about a lot. He just wants to get this done. He has more of a moral to his mindset. He's more well thought out about what he does and considerate. The other one, Detective Mills, Brad Pitt, he's your more trigger happy, I'm ready to do this, just bad attitude, disrespectful type of detective. Honestly, I did not like his character. But only to a point where it's a great trick. It's a great trick. Because even though I didn't like his character, he was still needed in the script. He was still needed in this plot. Alright? It wasn't like he wasn't needed. But at the same time, he was hard to deal with, and I understand why Morgan Freeman's character was very annoyed with Detective Mills. Alright? But as the movie progressed, their relationship started to get a little, it started to mend itself in some words. All right, it started to mend itself and come together. All right. Now, with saying that, let's make our transition into the negatives. Yes, they had great chemistry, but there are some things about their partnership that were highly questionable. All right. One thing in particular has to do with the wife of Detective Mills, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. Let's ask ourselves this question. If your wife calls your job to personally talk to your partner, of which she has not physically seen yet, and she did not tell you she was going to do this, or this is not planned out, wouldn't you suspect some weird stuff off the bat? something funny is going on here. That was just odd to me. That whole scene was odd. You could feel the awkwardness in the room when it happened. Then she invited this man that she has never met before to have dinner. This was not Detective Mills' idea. He had no say-so in this. All right. Just invited him. They went, they had the dinner. Morgan Freeman and the wife had their private conversation with Brad Pitt to the side so they can kind of refer to him while they're conversating. That's also suspect of something else going on. And then there were a couple of other conversations, or maybe one more conversation that shouldn't have even happened. All right? Shouldn't have even happened when it's supposed to be your wife. This led me to believe that something else was going to happen, or at least be attempted at. And somebody, because it felt like Morgan Freeman's character would quickly block that if that were to take place. You know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm getting at. Okay, so I at a point I actually wanted that to happen. I was like, okay, so this is going to happen, right? Or she's going to try, and then no. But that never took place. That scene that I expected never took place. I don't know why. If I was a part of this or ahead of this, in charge of this, I would have called for that scene to come into play, into existence. But it didn't happen. It's a lost opportunity right there for this movie. One more thing, or maybe two things for wrapped into one. The twist. The twist. I can't say too much about it, of course. But I will remind you that I've seen a lot of YouTube videos that would mention the end of the movie. They wouldn't give away the twist. They were respectful enough to not to do that. So I had no idea what was going on, or what was the context or the connection to why they were showing that scene. They just mentioned this as being one of the craziest twists ever and all this. All right. So when I was about to watch the movie, I was like, okay, I know there's something about that end that's gonna get me when I watch it, when I see this reveal or this twist, it's a secret. It's a big secret. It's a surprise twist. All right. I was gonna be mind blown. But when I've watched the whole movie and I already know this and that and all the characters and everybody involved, without saying too much, that twist, it didn't have a lot of options to play with. Let's just put it like that. I'm not giving anything away. It really didn't have. Watch the movie. It really didn't have a lot of options left. Therefore, when the twist came about, it was not a. It wasn't a shocker. It wasn't a shocker. I'm sorry. It wasn't a shocker to me. I'll say that. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. But at the same time, it didn't blow me out of my seat. It didn't blow me back. Because I predicted halfway through. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, got you. I also would have wished they would have shown more to the twist, but they did not. They did not show. They did not, show exactly what was going on with that twist, if I could put it like that. That would have put up the points on this. Also, Brad Pitt's acting. I'm gonna say this, man. I can really tell from this movie, Brad Pitt's acting absolutely got better. It got way better as time went on. Okay, I'm sure it was the character he was trying to go for, which is why he was acting like that. But that twist, that last part, And his acting added up, the way his responses and the way he acts to things, just, it didn't make me feel for the end of the movie. It didn't make me feel anything for it. The way he performed. So I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Without saying too much, of course. I believe that if I had seen this when it first came out, I think it would have meant a lot more. It would have had a stronger impact on me. All right. And with all this put together, I'm giving it, and this has me torn still before I even give this. I'm giving this an cool. A very strong cool. But that twist kind of put the word in the sand there. It kind of drew the line in the sand there for me. All right, that twist. I really have a big thing for. I'm really serious on twists now, and they didn't execute it the way I wanted, or it could have been executed. It's just because of the option situation. All right. Now, in order for people who have not seen this movie to understand or want me to explain even further, you can suggest a spoiler video, or in the comments we can discuss this. I just have to make sure that I put spoiler alert before we discuss. If you want to discuss this in the comments, Cheryl Burton in particular, I know you might have some questions. We can discuss in the comments. All right, but spoiler alert before anything else. All right, feel free to. But I have to give it an cool. Still a good movie. Anybody who has not seen it, check it out, please. Should like, share, subscribe.